This Soonerscoop.com video is streaming in crystal clear 4K resolution on YouTube thanks to Enjoy Vision in Oklahoma City. Don't miss a moment on or off the field. Make every day a highlight with LASIK at Enjoy Vision. Enjoy Vision. This is where Sooner Scoop LASIK.
Hello and welcome back. Eddie Radosevich, George Stoia here from the Soonerscoop.com studios on historic Campus Quarter. It is a Monday, which means a game day review with Josh McCuistion. We'll bring him in a second. The day of travel yesterday, a tad long for my liking, and not so much. I'll just say it. I thought the first two flights were like two of the most miserable experiences of my lifetime.
Really?
I think I was just tired from staying up.
Yeah, I think you're just tired. We probably stayed up a little too late, but there's too many good football games not to stay up. But I was happy we got back when we did. We got back at 11.
No, I was very happy about that. It was worth the misery of the two flights to get here before kickoff on Sunday. Baker Mayfield in action tonight on Monday Night Football.
Excited.
1-7 on Monday night. Did not know that.
Oh,
Did not realize that. Baker has lost 7 consecutive Monday night games.
2-7 tonight, after tonight.
And then just continue on to the Super Bowl. That's the plan. OU wins 42-3 against Temple on Saturday. We're back from Philadelphia, obviously, starting Auburn week coming up on Saturday. Kickoff at 2:30. Very excited for the week with the return of Jackson Arnold, and I think maybe learning a little bit more. We'll bring Josh McCuistion in here in a second, but we got to tell you about our good friends over at Ponchos. As you see there on the screen, officially licensed game day ready apparel over at our good friends. Ponchooutdoors.com, Poncho outdoors.com /Soonerscoop for $10 off and free shipping. And of course, we've told you about Poncho. Soft right out of the box, right amount of built-in stretch, lightweight, breathes incredibly well. And we're particularly talking about the officially licensed game day ready Sam Bradford, ladies and gentlemen. He is an actor now, along with Chip Gaines and I believe Colt McCoy here. But thank you to our good friends over at Ponchos Outdoors, ponchooutdoors.com /Soonerscoop for $10 off your free shipping. Go try one out today. The ultimate outdoor performance shirts for men. Sam Bradford looking very, very good. And I do like the Poncho Outdoor Boomer Edition game day shirt.
I saw a lot of people wearing those out at the game a couple weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So, perfect for this time of the year, too.
It's going to be hot on Saturday coming up. So
No, I thought we were done with that. Let's bring in Josh McCuistion now as Oklahoma comes off of a 42-3 victory on Saturday. And we recapped everything. You can watch the instant reaction here on the Soonerscoop.com YouTube channel. George, it was fantastic performance against maybe not so much of a good football team.
Yeah, Temple's not very good. We'll see what they end up doing this year. But I thought OU came out and played well. You know, I wrote about kind of the 10 things I think I learned from the game, and one of them is the leadership with this group. And I think that you could see that in the way that they started the game. I thought the two-point conversion was a lot of fun early in the game, just because I'm guessing that's something that the coaches did, one, to put it on tape, make Auburn and other teams look at it. I also think it was something that maybe OU did to kind of keep the players engaged throughout the week, something fun, So I don't know. I thought everything that they did was really good. So it was a overall very good performance.
Josh, I think just based off the report card, I was going to say recruiting card, report card coming out of Saturday. Obviously, there were a number of really good performances. We'll get to the offense in a second. Let's start with the defense. They set the tone on Saturday, and much like George just said, I think Brent said it after the game, a very mature win for this Oklahoma football team to go out on the road for the first time this season. And I think we can just say it, kind of beat the shit out of Temple.
Yeah, guys, and I don't know about you all. I never actually sit down and read your staff picks. Like I look, I know what I write, whatever. But on Friday or Thursday, whenever that went out, that's what I wrote about. Like, I want to see how grown up this team is. Can they go handle the situation that we knew was going to be a garbage game environment. We knew it was going to be against a team that, there's no natural inclination for Oklahoma to be up for that game. They're coming off Michigan. They've got their SEC opener this week. Like, there was a lot going against them that you say, okay, that's kind of a sleepy team. Guys, I don't know if you even had a chance to see it, but Kirk Herbstreit's on game day, like, this is one of those games at 17-17 in the fourth quarter, and you're like, and I kept thinking to myself, I was like, I think Oklahoma is better than you think they are, and I think Temple is worse than you think they are. And so, again, like, Was it like a resounding performance? No, but they went up there and they handled their business. That's what good teams do. They just go, they put Temple to bed, kind of go to sleep real early, and then just finish the game, and got out of town. No clear key injuries. R. Mason Thomas obviously missing the first half's a problem, but I mean, they just handled their business. I don't know what else you could really ask for.
Kind of started from the jump, too. I thought defensively they set the tone for what was to come. It was just basically a team that was overmatched. And I think, once again, Josh, we start with a defensive line that they wreaked havoc early and often on Saturday afternoon in Philadelphia.
I mean, guys, the more I watch this team, I'm watching college football, and I know you guys. You were talking about having some opportunity to watch, the late night games, Notre Dame and A&M, and some great games. That Saturday was a great college football Saturday. Guys, I haven't seen the team yet that I'm like, okay, yeah, they're going to give Oklahoma some real problems up front, offensively. They're really good, guys. And it's the defensive line that we've talked so much about, but you're getting performances out of guys that you didn't even expect. Guys, and the idiot today, I highlighted Marcus Strong because he made a couple plays. He's D-tackle number 5. It's just crazy the bodies they're throwing out there right now.
Josh, what'd you think of these interior guys? Because you just mentioned them, but I feel like I was telling Eddie and Kerr, I think after the game, I think it's the best position group on the team, and I don't think it's close.
I want you to know, in that Marcus Strong breakdown, I referenced that, George, because I couldn't agree more. There is, and that feels insulting to other units on the team. It's just that this group is so damn good. David Stone playing at the level that third down stop, guys. That's stuff that NFL scouts are like, oh, we need one of those. That's the kind of stuff. And Jaden Jackson is becoming that cliche that we hear all the time, oh, you don't see him much in the stat line, but watch what the goal line, that first play at the goal line when the Temple guy steps out, he just buries. I don't even, because you can't see it on the TV angle, but he somehow punches the center to where he knocks the center off balance, and he falls down behind him and then just runs over the the right guard. It was, and he had 2 or 3 like that, where you're just I don't know how he's doing what he's doing, but he's killing people.
It feels like David Stone's just getting better every single week.
He's become, I think, not only somebody that you just kind of almost expect that to happen, but you expect some of the plays like you're talking about, Josh, where it just feels like this is a defensive line that they're playing at a point right now where they're starting to change my perspective and how good I think this defense can be. And obviously they're going to have to, it almost kind of restarts for me, because now you go into conference play against an Auburn team that obviously I don't think is winning a national championship this year by any means, but I do think it's going to be a test, something like we saw against Michigan a couple of weeks ago. Oklahoma holds Temple to 104 yards in the day. I believe that is the least amount of yards that they have held a team since 2014. The only thing, and George asked Brent about it after the game on Saturday, was the fact that they still haven't been able to force a turnover this year. It's impressive. They hold Temple to 3 for 16 on the day on third down. The Temple Owls punted on Saturday 12 times. And God help the punter for Temple. I hope for a better day for him. It was a rough outing, to say the least.
Yep.
Moving to defensive end, Marvin Jones Jr. continues to be a very successful get out of the transfer portal. Obviously, R. Mason Thomas is ejected in the first half. Danny Okoye didn't go. You can see him right here. I think just big picture-wise, they're going to need some of these guys to step up, obviously, if R. Mason Thomas isn't able to win the appeal. You would think not, just because of the history there. They don't overturn that stuff too much. But, Josh, it seems like somebody like and I think we might see the R. Mason Thomas play right here. It seems like they've gotten a little bit out of everything, out of everyone from that group. But specifically going into this week, those guys are going to have to step up a little bit if R. Mason Thomas isn't able to go.
I don't think there's any question. And the good news is you're seeing that. There are, between Taylor Wine, PJ, and Marvin Jones Jr., you've got 3 defensive ends you feel really good about. You feel okay. You can sit them in any situation. They have shown the ability to create pressure. PJ, guys, PJ might be OU's best run-stopping defensive end. Like, he is a bear to move off with his length and the way he's pushing people away. This is the guy you thought you would see early. Now, it's taken longer, and I understand people, they have no patience for 5 stars. Like, I get it. Like, they've got to be great immediately. But you're starting to see a very skilled guy, like a guy that OU can put out there and feel like, okay, they're not going to move him around. They're not going to shove him. Now, he's going to face better competition. We all know it. But I think you feel okay. If you could just get one of these guys, like I think we talked about this in the preseason. You need one of these guys to become a consistent pass rushing threat when you're up 10 in the fourth quarter and they're trying to come. And so they can't just roll everything to R. Mason Thomas and that slows you down. They've got to be – Marvin Jones has got to win one-on-one battles. But coming into this, guys, I think I was pretty vocal and pretty honest that I had real questions about Marvin Jones ever being a real guy for Oklahoma. I was wrong. Like, he is playing really well. He's as twitchy as I knew he would be. Marvin's a guy I scouted in person in high school. I knew how physically talented he was. I wasn't sure if he would buy in and do the stuff he's got to do. And he's doing all those things. He's playing well against the run. He's getting upfield. He brings something to that defense that they need. I mean, he gives them consistent play opposite of R. Mason.
Josh, any concern with R. Mason Thomas being out the first half of this week?
I'm anxious to see it because, again, like there have been so many plays. I mean, R. Mason Thomas is probably within a breath of having like 4 sacks already this year. Yeah. He just like the one where I believe it was Boganowski when he just nukes the quarterback. R. Mason Thomas basically walks the quarterback into Boganowski because he feels R. Mason steps up in the pocket and Boganowski just nukes him. So there's stuff like that. I haven't seen anybody that was consistently getting pressure. Now, at the same time, I don't know how much Auburn wants to play that game. Guys, you look at the numbers, Jackson Arnold hasn't thrown more than 28 passes in a game yet, and that was against Ball State. And you look at, people like, oh, well, his completion percentage is up and all this stuff. And Hugh Freeze is a smart guy. He's a good play designer. They'll do some stuff to put OU in some tough spots. They just will. At the same time, the one guy who I think probably has the best feel for where Jackson Arnold is Hugh Freeze, and he's not asking him to throw a lot. So there's got to be a reason for that. So to me, I think they're going to try to protect him. I don't think there's going to be a lot of situations to create a lot of pressure unless it's like I'm talking about later in the game where R. Mason Thomas will be back on the field.
Certainly going to be interesting, and we'll get more into the Auburn offensive attack and how they're going to go about it in some of the practice reports this week. 2 guys that I did want to talk about from Saturday that it felt like a long time coming, but I think we finally saw some real glimpses of real quote-unquote snaps from Reggie Powers, Michael Boganowski. Both made exceptional plays on the afternoon. Reggie Powers obviously leading the team, or tied for the lead with 4 tackles on Saturday, as well as a sack, a tackle for loss. But both those guys, it's very exciting knowing how young they are combined with how well they're producing so early in their careers.
Guys, I mean, it just makes you feel good, if you're an OU fan, about where that safety room goes, with obviously the upcoming departure of Robert Spears Jennings, and there's Peyton Bowen's a junior. I mean, that room is in good shape. And again, with Boganowski, I think because of how physical and how violent he can be, there's this idea of like what he is as a player, and I think he's much more complete than people think he is. And Reggie Powers, I thought in this game he had a chance to show a little bit more, like, because I think people think of him oppositely, where okay, he's not the flashy guy, but he's always around the ball, he's always there, that kind of. And I think Powers has a lot of big playability. So again, what I see more and more from this defense is it's not just like, oh, they're good and they're fundamentally sound, which is kind of where I think they were last year in a lot of ways, outside of really Danny and Billy. This year, it's like they've got playmakers. They've got guys who can do more than is designed within the play call. They really have guys who can kind of go above and beyond.
Josh, how great was it to see Kendel Dolby out there again?
One of my favorites since NEO days. I love Kendel Dolby. Now, Eddie, I wanted to ask you, Was it what he was wearing with like the black shirt, or is he bulked up a little bit? Like he looked like a beefier guy than I had in my head.
You guys think so? I guess I really just haven't noticed a ton, but I guess we also haven't seen him a ton out there on the field either. Yeah, and it might have been, now that I'm looking at some of this video, maybe he is a little bit bigger than he was last year.
Well, and he certainly, I'm going to be interested to see where they end up playing him, because they played him at corner here, and I think some of that's...
I thought he was knocking off some rust for sure. You're going to see a couple of these plays here early. I thought that they tried to attack him for, whatever the attack was.
Right, and what I was saying is that I just don't know how much, like, true corner he's going to play. I mean, maybe that's ends up where he plays, but, like, I think some of that was Gentry Williams didn't play. Eli Bowen's not back yet, but when you get Gentry and Eli back, and how well Cortland Guillory's playing, even a Davon Jordan who's played a lot of snaps, I could see them moving Kendall back to that kind of cheetah nickel spot. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, to me, I do. I think as corner, he's a serviceable player. Like it's not like you can't put him out there, you're in trouble, that kind of thing. But if it's him or Gentry Williams, I want Gentry Williams on the field. Like I think I don't think I'm breaking any ground there with that conversation. And that's part of the problem here, George, is like, and it's a good problem for OU, is I don't know where you put him, because do I want Kendall Daniels off the field? Not really. I mean, this week would be an interesting conversation, because we know Auburn's going to want to spread Oklahoma out a little bit. They're going to want to use those receivers, try and get as light a box as they can create for Jackson Arnold. And I know, we need to get into the Auburn game at a later date, but I think you're going to see a lot of that. And to have a guy like Kendall Daniels who can maybe spy Jackson Arnold a little bit, you can do some stuff like that with him. It's just tough. And again, it's not that Kendall Dolby shouldn't have a role. It's just a matter of, I think based on it's going to be probably a little bit matchup dependent. Like how does this fit against this offense? What do they do? How will they attack us? But the nice part is if you have because I think depending on who you play at Cheetah, it kind of dictates what OU wants to do. Kendall Dolby might be the best blend of like, okay, he can come play run, he can be that guy, or you can put him in man coverage and he's going to be okay. Like I feel like there's a little more diversity in his game, and he gives Oklahoma that kind of pivot point that they may need in some of these matchups.
Speaking of some of the decisions that they're going to have to make at quarterback, I think that there is no better example than this weekend. I think we would all three agree that this is going to be the best wide receiver core that Oklahoma's gone against, and it will certainly be interesting to see those quarterbacks have to go out and make some plays. And not to say that they haven't. Cortland Guillory's been fantastic. Davon Jordan's been really good. Gentry Williams, as you saw there, went through warm-ups on Saturday. Going to be very interesting. We saw a little bit of Jacoby Johnson, but how they match up against Eric Singleton, Cam Coleman, the Horatio Fields, Malcolm Simmons. That's a really good group that Auburn's bringing to Dorman this weekend.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, I've already started on some of the under the hood stuff for Auburn, and guys, I mean, those Singleton in space is lethal. He is a dangerous dude. Cam Coleman is everything you expect in a big SEC outside receiver. He can run, he can jump. He's a guy that people. Somebody asked me on the board, does OU just put 7 in the box and force Jackson Arnold to throw vertical? Okay, that's great, but there is an element of Cam Coleman that's just like, he's down there somewhere, throw it to him. Like he's big enough and physical enough, he's going to make Jackson Arnold right some of the time. So you've got to be careful of that. But that is, Eddie, that's what's interesting to me about this. This is one of the tests that we haven't seen Oklahoma take yet. Like, what does it look like against some real receivers? And I know, the McCulley kid at Michigan, George and I talked about him. We both like him. But there's, he's one guy. And they weren't asking a lot of that quarterback. I think it's going to be so interesting and so telling what Auburn chooses to do offensively. Because, guys, I don't know about you. Maybe you feel differently. I don't think Auburn can line up and just run at Oklahoma. I just don't believe that.
And I would imagine, just to kind of close it out on the defensive side, we did mention the linebacker group, but they're playing extremely well. Kobe McKenzie, most likely. I don't even know if you could say probably. I think he is playing the best football he's ever played at Oklahoma. I think he's been fantastic.
Yeah. And I thought Samuel Masigo had his best game as a Sooner. I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to remember last year some of the performances, because he kind of played in spot role. But I thought he was extremely good on Saturday.
3 tackles for Sammy on Saturday against Temple, Josh.
Yeah, guys, Kobe, he's just so physical. Like he's a thing that like I'm not even sure that Danny always brought it the way Kobe. Like every time Kobe's in a tackle, you know it. Like I mean, he is so big and so just sturdy. And I remember we talked about this in the offseason. I kind of thought Sammy was going to take that job from him. I just kind of did. And seeing him play now, I feel like an insane person. That's nothing against Sammy. He's playing good football. Kobe looks, plays, and acts like a leader of that defense. Like he there's just something about I feel like he sets the tone for a lot of that front seven.
Something else that we haven't talked about, but I think will become a talking point. It was something that we talked about at the airport yesterday. Oklahoma only defends or is forced to defend 54 plays on Saturday afternoon against Temple. This is a relatively, for as deep as they are, there are not a lot of guys that are playing a ton of snaps. They are relatively fresh as Oklahoma enters the 4th game of the season.
And pretty healthy. I think there's a chance they get Gentry Williams back this week. I think there's also a chance Eli Bowen.
Here's that David Stone play. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. I just want people to see it.
I mean, he just kills this guy.
Yeah. Just swats that guy aside. Just hip tosses him. It's just an unbelievable play. It's a great angle, Eddie. That was the one I kind of wanted to have on the breakdown. Yeah, well done, buddy.
Thank you.
But no, just a beautiful play. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Jordan.
No, you're good.
Make sure people noticed it.
The health, though, I think overall is really good. Like They could get a Gentry back this week. I think Eli Bowen, possibly we could see him out there for the first time this week, or at least maybe Kent State. So other than that, like I know Dominic Williams got a little banged up late in the game. I think he's fine.
Yeah.
PJ, same situation. I think he may have just got a little stinger. I think he's going to be fine. I think R. Mason's obviously the only one that they're going to miss, and he's healthy. He's just not going to be playing in the first half.
Unless they were to win an appeal. Unless something crazy was supposed to, or unexpectedly happens with the overturn of appeal, which we think will happen at some point early in the week. I think
we could find out
get
today.
An idea.
Yeah, we could find out Monday.
Very good. Obviously, Brent Venables will have his coaches show on Monday night. Maybe he will be asked about that, or at least some idea of when the judgment will come on the appeal. So let's flip over to the offensive side. Another very efficient afternoon for Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer. Torrey Blaylock does win SEC Freshman of the Week after running for 100 yards on Saturday. Josh, just overall, a pretty good day offensively. We'll get to the Keontes Lewis injury here in a second, but just overall, your thoughts at OU versus Temple offensively.
Guys, I think it's pretty simple. I don't really care who you're playing. If you put up over 500 yards of offense and both passing, through the air and on the ground, you are over 200 yards, you had a good day. Like I don't have to look that far past it. Now we can, obviously we will break down some of it and some of the different things, but guys, they did all that, and I didn't feel like, it was a B minus. Like they were fine. But there wasn't like, oh, this offense is really humming. Like there was never that feeling to it. And for me, obviously the O-line guy, I thought the O-line, that was the cleanest they've played this year. And I know it's Temple and I know all that stuff, but like being where they're supposed to be, just being to where the assignments are and starting in some ways to play with a little aggression, I thought you saw some good things out of them.
Josh, what'd you think of Logan Hallen's day? I saw some mixed reviews from people on the way that he played.
I thought in the run game, it was one of the better games we've seen Logan Hallen play. He's not like super physical, but he's so big and long that he definitely leaned on some guys and did some good work. In the pass game, you saw some of that same crap you saw against Ole Miss last year, where he's just opening the door and letting people run around him. And I don't know where the only thing I can think of is he spent so much time playing right tackle. And I know people think, I talk about this all the time, that you can just go back and forth. You're doing everything opposite. It's like, okay, I wrote with my right hand for 3 months. Now I'm going to write left-handed. Like it's different. And everything you do is in reverse. And sure, he knows all the rules, but like I just think there's not a fluidity to it at times with him. Now, he did it perfectly well multiple times, but it was just like when he had problems, it was kind of reverting back to that same mistake he made sometimes last year.
Logan Howland making the start in place of Michael Fasusi, who was there on Saturday, but obviously wearing a boot still with the ankle sprain coming out of the Michigan game. Expected to be back. It certainly would help. I think this is going to be one of the bigger tests for Oklahoma's offensive line, or at least this new look group that they kind of debuted 2 weeks ago against Michigan. And that kind of leads us into the run game. John Mateer, by the way, he was good through the air. I mean, you look at the numbers, 20 of 34. He missed some throws I thought that he probably is going to want back. He talked about as much after the game. Found somebody right here, Isaiah Sategna, though. Isaiah Sategna, 7 receptions for 97 yards. Really, really good after the catch, which, I think Teddy mentioned it on the Oklahoma breakdown. I think he had more yak yards than he actually had receiving yards, which is kind of an oddity, but it was good to see him get going. The offensive, game plan throughout the afternoon through the air seemed efficient enough that you can get by through a team like Temple. Needs to be better, though. Is that probably the best way to say it?
Yeah. I think that's fair. And for those that are like, how is that even possible with Sategna? It's that little pass they're doing in the backfield where he just a direct handoff. So he's picking up yardage that doesn't exist in the passing game because they don't measure where Mateer throws from. They just measure from the line of scrimmage. So for anyone like, how did that happen? That's how that happened. So that is not something you see often, but kind of a hilarious anomaly. And that play from John Mateer definitely made the Monday Morning Idiot, the jump throw. That
he said after the game, he was like, I have no idea why I did that. I just did it.
What's amazing is I did it in the Idiot, and I was like, why does John Mateer do this? It doesn't matter why John Mateer does this. And people are like, he's doing it because he was a shortstop. And and yes, I get it. We've all seen shortstops do it. It is a common thing. I've watched John Mateer roll to his left plenty of times and throw, and he doesn't do that. So why is that time different? I don't know. It doesn't matter. He put it where he needed to. And it's just that's the John Mateer experience. Like, we have to come up with some kind of word for like the old Manny Ramirez, like John Mateer being John Mateer. Like there's got to be that moment of like, this is what it's like when he's your quarterback at Oklahoma. There's going to be moments that are kind of awesome and just inexplicable.
In all seriousness, though, on that play, it's good to see on the receiving end, Zion Kearney got his first, I think, true action of the year on Saturday. He ends up with 3 receptions, trying to find me now. I just saw it. 2 receptions for 31 yards. But let's
14 snaps.
14 snaps, which is certainly up from what it had been in the first 4 games.
Yep.
And maybe he's going to be needed more here with Keontes Lewis's situation, obviously leaving the game with what we believe is a head injury. I think it was pretty obvious on Saturday. We'll see if I would expect him to be on concussion protocol throughout the week. We'll see if he's going to be able to go, but certainly good to see somebody like a Zion Kearney if you're not able to have somebody like Keontes Lewis on Saturday. Yeah,
and I think that there's a chance Keontes plays. I talked to a few people. I guess he was trying to get back in the game on Saturday, and they kind of just said, hey,
interesting. That's very good news.
They're like, we just have to put you in protocol because of the hit. And, I mean, you see the play right there.
It might have been a telltale sign, too, that, that he was able to come back out in the second half, as you had talked about on Saturday in the Eskridge Lexus postgame podcast. I don't know why they don't go back and review this for targeting if the R. Basin thing is, targeted, but I guess that's neither here nor there.
Yeah,
can't do anything about it.
We'll have to just kind of keep an eye on him through the week. We get our first availability report this week. That comes out on Wednesday night, so we'll see there. But yeah, I mean, you have to feel good about Kearney, possibly stepping in. He made 2 nice plays in this game, but it certainly would be a blow if Lewis can't go, because I think that he's become a very reliable pass catcher for John Mateer.
And we couldn't mention OU's passing game on Saturday without mentioning Jaren Kanak just continues to be a guy at tight end. I don't know. Like, somebody texted me and they were like, is he going to win the Mackey Award? And through 3 weeks, he has to be in contention, doesn't he? It's crazy.
He leads all tight ends in receiving yards.
You put it out there last night, too. OU tight end Jaren Kanak is now on pace for 968 receiving yards, which just would blow my mind if that's what we're talking about by the end of the year, which would be the most since Mark Andrews. Since 2017 in 14 games, he had 958 yards.
Crazy.
It's nuts to think about.
It's unbelievable. And again, like, I don't know that I'm ever going to have a bigger preseason L than my Jaren Kanak predictions. Like, I was not expecting much.
Yeah, we don't bring
And
that up
guys,
to throw you under the bus, Josh.
No, but like it would. Guys, you know me. I'll own it when I'm wrong, and it was wrong. Like it was bad. And guys, I'm hearing like NFL talk. Like they're talking about him like being. And what's interesting is it's not like as a tight end, they're like slim him down, take 10, 15 pounds on him, and make him like a slot guy.
Yeah.
Like in the way and I'm like, that's an amazing idea when you talk about. But what blows me away, guys, is how well he catches the ball. Like, because he catches it in some tight spots and tough situations. Like you kind of expect, like, okay, yeah, he's big, fast, he's going to make a few plays. But he has some ability catching the ball, and that's the part that I just could not have foreseen. And I think he's got a real chance. Guys, like, I'm trying to think. Yeah, that Mark Andrews year is the top year in OU history for a tight end as far as yardage. No OU tight end has ever caught 1,000 yards. He has a very real shot at doing that very thing. Like that. What an amazing end to his story if it was the all-time season, record holder in yardage by a tight end from Jaren Kanak, who played running back in high school and was recruited to play linebacker. Like, just a wild story.
Perhaps not popular, especially over on the Crimson Corner. Maybe they won't hear that I say this, but I do have to give some credit to Joe John Finley, right, for getting him ready. I know he's caught a lot of flack here over the last 2 years, and rightfully so, with where the tight end position was, but he came into his room. He has to get a little bit of credit for getting him ready to go and play. And obviously, it's been very successful for Ben Arbuckle and company. Run game. If the question going into the Temple game was finding some type of run game outside of John Mateer and what he's able to do with his legs, I think they've certainly identified RB1, and that's Torrey Blaylock, the SEC Freshman of the Week. He ends up, Oklahoma on the ground as a whole goes for 228 yards on 42 carries. Torrey Blaylock, 14 for 100 on the ground, 2 touchdowns. It started with Javonte Barnes finding the end zone. Even saw a little bit of, Xavier Robinson to finish games late. And just as a whole, Josh, what'd you think of the run game? And certainly seeing what Torrey Blaylock was able to do, it lends an idea to maybe he's one of those guys that him and Javonte Barnes can wear teams down, and maybe a Xavier Robinson can come in late. That was something that George had mentioned in the postgame on Saturday in the Eskridge Lexus postgame podcast.
I was going to ask. I couldn't remember if it was an instant reaction or if it was in the postgame pod, but I love that I do it from George. Very Trey Sermon kind of, because again, guys, You deal with chasing, you deal with the physicality of Javonte Barnes. You deal with chasing Torrey Blaylock's speed all over the place. And then the second half, this 230-pound guy with great feet just comes in and starts beating you to death. Like, that's how you take the soul out of a team. And we watched Trey Sermon do it a whole bunch of times for Lincoln Riley, in those late 20 teens. So I love that idea. I think it makes a lot of sense. And I think the biggest thing I took away is, Torrey Blaylock is just starting to become kind of inevitable. Like, you're just seeing stuff where you're like, he makes a play here or there. The one where he bounces outside late in the second quarter and stiff arms the guy and then just uses his speed to pick up 9 yards, guys. Like, nobody else in the roster that we've seen so far can do that. So, yeah, get him the ball. Put him in good situations, and I think nothing but good things are going to happen. What I liked about Xavier Robinson is I thought he started to find a little bit of rhythm there in the second half, just kind of seeing it a little better, kind of like the guy we saw towards the end of last year. And if they can get that where he's a 8 to 10 carry a game guy, or he's, maybe getting 40, 50 yards, starting to really put something together for you, that's incredibly useful.
It's kind of crazy. There was a moment in the fourth quarter right when Jaydn Ott had gone in. We want to open up a Jaydn Ott conversation. He had a couple of those carries there in the fourth quarter, and I noticed, like, here comes Xavier Robinson running in. They're running the exact same plays, and all of a sudden you saw Xavier Robinson go for, and I'm making this up, I don't know if these were the exact numbers, but it seemed like 5 yards, 6 yards, and then he busted a big one there in the fourth quarter. It was just like, is that what we're seeing? Is that what the coaches are seeing as well during practice of Jaydn Ott not being able to find a hole, which is shocking, surprising. Everything around that whole situation is a little bit intriguing and, I guess, question-worthy and conversation-worthy. But then you saw Xavier Robinson run out, and all of a sudden they were able to pick up yards.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know.
And who knows, is it being blocked up correctly?
Right. I think it's more of a, read between the lines on what Brent said after the game. I think it's pretty clear the coaching staff wants more buy-in from Jaydn Ott. Like, I think that's the flat, simple truth right now, is that whether it's in practice or on game days or whatever it is, like, I don't know if the coaching staff trusts him to go in and do his job to the highest ability, and that has to change. Like, if Jaydn Ott wants to be a contributor on this football team, that's going to have to change. And I'm not saying that it can't. Like, I still have hope for Jaydn Ott that maybe he can figure it out, but the chances are dwindling. And I think that, in the Illinois State game, we kind of just were like, well, that's weird that they played him late in the game. It was very deliberate what happened, I think, on Saturday in Philadelphia, where they didn't put him in till the very end in garbage time. So I don't know. It's very interesting. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but I think if you just take Brent's answer and you read between the lines, you kind of have an idea of what's going on.
Well, and what changes for me, guys, is Torrey Blaylock.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, they didn't have a running back. And so to tell me all this, like, oh, he's not doing this, he's not doing that, he's your one proven guy. Like, okay, that's great, and I understand you've got to do things by, what's best for the team and that sort of stuff. But if you have a potentially dynamic back and you're not getting anything out of the position, you probably have to make some allowances for the betterment of your team. But if you can get Torrey Blaylock to play like he did on Saturday, then you know what? You absolutely can demand, like, okay, if you want to get out there and try to take snaps away from this freshman who's doing everything we're asking and is making plays, you better figure it out. Like, and I think that is where the numbers really change on the situation, where it does get difficult. And guys, I don't know about for you, but the way this is playing out, game 4, that's a pretty interesting conversation to have about Jaydn Ott. And what does that mean and how does that play? And I'm not, to my knowledge, we as a group, and I know certainly me, have not heard anything along those lines, but you do wonder, like, because this is a guy that I said over and over again, a year ago was a first or second day draft pick for most people. And now he's getting in for Oklahoma in the fourth quarter in dead games against Temple. Like, I wonder how that looked, like how he stomachs that. Like, that's going to be an interesting thing to me to follow over the next week or two.
Certainly going to be interesting come Saturday what that running back. I think we know what the running back rotation is going to look like, but just how or if a Jaydn Ott can figure into this thing before the season is over, because we blink and we're already a third way through this thing. Torrey Blaylock with a fantastic day, though, on Saturday, and certainly worthy of the recognition given out by the league offices in Birmingham on Monday afternoon. Offensive line-wise, I know that we had talked about Micah Vasusi, thought they played well just as a group, again, getting back out there. Do want to talk about Jake Michaela in the center position. He's making his second consecutive start after taking the rollover from Troy Everett in the Michigan game. I think kind of the side note on this was Troy Everett. He was not in Philadelphia on Saturday. Moving forward, don't know. Is he going to be available? I
think he's going to miss significant time. Okay. I believe he suffered an injury late last week before they made the trip, and that's why he wasn't there. And
that kind of becomes scary at center, knowing they don't have a whole lot of depth. They started the season not with a whole lot of depth. Fabechi possibly be your backup center if things were to happen to Jake Michaela.
Yeah, Fabechi Wiwu is a backup. I mean, I know Gunnar Allen came in late in the game, but that was because it was cleanup time. Like, if something were to happen to Michaela in a real game, Fabechi, I believe, would slide to center. Ryan Foje would come in at right guard.
Okay. Ryan Foje got in. Everybody, it seemed like, got in towards the end of the game on Saturday. Ryan Foje got a little bit of work, as did Eddie Pierre-Louis, as well as Luke Baklenko over at right tackle for Oklahoma on Saturday. It's a hell of a run. I watched this back like 7 times.
You could have scored this.
I don't know. I might have got caught from behind, but
you probably could have got some yards.
That hole definitely was one of the bigger holes that Oklahoma was able to open up on Saturday afternoon for their ball carriers. Last but not least, for today's Game Day Rewind, seemed like everything was cleaned up in terms of special teams. Tate Sandell was 2 for 2 on the day. Obviously made his extra point opportunities. Good punt coverage, good kickoff coverage, all that kind of good stuff. The only, I guess, bad thing was Austin Welch missing a field goal in the fourth quarter. But overall, coming in from where they were against Michigan, you have to say that everything was cleaned up in a proper way.
Yeah, I thought they played well. Didn't make the big mistakes like they did in the previous games. Their punter was horrifically bad.
He had a rough day. He had
Grayson
12
Miller.
opportunities.
What was Grayson Miller's stat line?
He averaged 50 on the day.
That's crazy.
He was 4 for 200 yards total, 50, had a long of 58, two of the 4 inside the 20, and then obviously had one touchback on the day of his 4 punts.
They found a punter, and the other punter, Jacob Ulrich, he can catch 2-point conversions.
He caught a 2-point conversion from Jaren Kanak there in the first quarter, which was a fantastic play, kind of a fun play. And as you said at the beginning of the program, maybe it's just something you throw in to keep everybody interested. But it certainly, they cleaned it up. It looked good on Saturday. Tate Sandell, by the way, in terms of kickoffs, 7, had 3 touchbacks, averaged 63.1 a kick. Austin Welch also had a kickoff, had a 65-yarder that was called a touchback as well. So bad special teams by Temple, by the way, as well. You talk about the punts. They also stepped out at the 1-yard line on a kickoff return that set up a damn near safety for Oklahoma and possibly a touchdown for Grayson Halton had he been able to haul in the deflected pass from Sammy Omosigo. So we roll into OU Auburn week. It's obviously going to be a big week around here. A good time to join SoonerScoop.com. You can do so for just $1. We're going to be here on the SoonerScoop.com YouTube channel throughout the week with plenty of content coming with the Auburn game. But just, I guess in closing, Josh, Oklahoma opens at like a 4.5-point favorite going into Saturday. I feel like this is a massive game for Oklahoma to continue this momentum that they've kind of built here through the first 3 games of the season.
Yeah, I mean, and guys, I haven't gone all the way through the Auburn game. I'm kind of breaking down the Baylor game for those who want to follow along in the future. This is kind of like what I talked about with Michigan. There's a path for Auburn to win this game. For Oklahoma, I see several. Auburn defensively has shown some problems. South Alabama moved the ball pretty well. Sawyer Robertson, who is very good. I don't want to make it sound like anybody could do this, but he obviously walked up and down the field. And the thing I can't get over, guys, is who was he hitting? His tight end. A lot. Michael Trigg got a lot of work that night, and I can't help but wonder if Ben Arbuckle's looking at that and thinking, yeah, we got a guy. We got a guy that can probably do some things for us here. So I think Oklahoma could win this if it's a shootout, if that's what actually happens. I don't think that's what'll happen. But I just think Jackson Arnold's going to have to play a game. Frankly, we've never seen Jackson Arnold play. And I think that's time and time again this year. I think that's what this is going to come down to because I think Oklahoma is so good in their front 7. Quarterbacks are going to have to be ready to play big-time games. And I don't know how many quarterbacks OU is going to face on their schedule that can play that game. Garrett Nussmeier, okay, yeah, maybe. Ty Simpson, with what we're seeing in Alabama last couple weeks, maybe. But, there's not a lot of guys that have proven themselves they can answer this call. And I'm not sure Jackson Arnold's that guy. I guess we'll find out.
And it feels like if OU can create a couple turnovers, get to Jackson early, I'm not saying they're going to run Auburn off the field. I think Auburn's very talented. They're going to be able to hang with Oklahoma, but it does feel like that could really flip the momentum in Oklahoma's way. And playing at home, it just feels in a lot of ways it's a different test than Michigan was, and I think in some ways maybe a tougher test than Michigan because it tests different parts of this football team. But it also feels like this is a game Oklahoma should win.
The March through September continues coming up on Saturday afternoon with the first conference game of the season. For Josh and George, I'm Eddie. We'll see you back here on the SoonerScoop.com YouTube channel.